Good afternoon. I'm Melissa Hoover. I'm honored and pleased to be able to introduce our next speaker, my successor at the Democracy at Work Institute, Julian McKinley. Julian McKinley is Dowie's co-executive director for partnerships and growth, guiding the organizational growth, strategic partnerships, research, and communications. His work lives at the nexus of storytelling and advancing tangible solutions for a more equitable economy, including family financial security, regenerative economics, and employee ownership. While at Dowie, Julian has overseen the organization's field-leading research. He has trained cooperative developers in the US and East Africa, helped lead New York City's Worker Cooperative Business Development Initiative, and led innovative strategies that drive cooperative ecosystem development. I'm so excited to hear what he's going to share with us. Welcome, Julian.
Thank you, Melissa. Good to see everyone. I know it's almost 5 o'clock, so I'm going to try and wake you up a little bit. Hi, everyone. Let's get a hi back. Hi. All right. So as Melissa mentioned, my name is Julian McKinley, co-executive director at Democracy at Work Institute. For those who don't know, Dowie is the national field building organization for worker cooperatives in the United States. Today's been an inspiring day one. I can't wait to get day two kicked off, but we really have heard a lot of tremendous information today. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you a bunch about the value of employee ownership. I think that, a few hours into the day, you've gotten that enough. What I am going to talk about is the work that we do together in this room and the work that we do once we leave in our communities and nationally. I want to thank the Aspen team and Rutgers team for hosting such a rich platform for employee ownership. I'm excited to be here with you, and in particular for my remarks to come following Tammy's remarks and before Sarah Kay's as well. I think the three of us sort of situated together this afternoon represent the diversity of voices, experience, and resources that are here to really help grow this work. Together, when I look across the room, I see a lot of familiar faces. I see a lot of new faces, which is great to see as well. And we've seen these faces sort of evolve over time. I think we've done a few EO forums now, and so it's great to see the diversity grow from year to year. It's also great to have seen some of the relationships that we've forged here blossom and create new wealth building opportunities for workers, to preserve businesses, to create stronger companies that support higher quality jobs. That's all the work that we want to do, right? And we're really doing it in close coordination with one another. When I think about it, right now, this time for employee ownership is probably the most exciting time for employee ownership in the past few decades. I'm mostly referring to the growth that we're seeing here, right? We're seeing ESOPs continue to grow in impact and popularity. New forms of ownership are being utilized to help workers benefit from the value that they create through their labor. Worker cooperatives alone have grown over 30% over the past 2 years. And the number of investment funds that have been started over the past, or that are driving this growth, have been started in the past 5 years. A quarter of them have been started in the past 5 years. So we're really seeing a boom here. And we're not just living through the boom, but the folks in this room are driving it from various vantage points. It's been shared with me by a few folks who are new to the space that employee ownership, all the different forms, can be a little overwhelming at first, right? And I can completely understand that, but I do think that it's the diversity of form, fit, and function that is our strength. As we hear about various forms of profit sharing, employee-owned firms from different industries, as we've heard today, we've heard about new legislation, the workers who have benefited from having a say in their workplace. I think it's no longer relevant to really ask ourselves, well, which form is best or which is worse? Instead, it's relevant for us to think about the fit, and each form has a fit and purpose. They have fit related to company size, large, medium, and small. There's a fit related to investors and their tolerance for risk or their impact focus. There's a fit related to each form's benefits that they provide to different workers. I'm talking about contingent workers who are trying to get greater stability in their workplace, workers with varied degrees of education, those in rural backgrounds and rural communities rather, and urban communities. In the panel earlier today, we heard from 4 different workers with a very different earning potential at the start of their careers at their ESOP companies, right? But we heard across the board a shared experience of employee ownership's ability to transform their experience on the job. When we think about all of those different experiences, it's important to note and see that there is space for all of us under this employee ownership tent. And there's also a distinct role that each of us needs to play within that tent. Last month, I had the opportunity to speak to the folks at Eastern Garage Door, which is an employee-owned firm in Massachusetts. They are a 100-year-old firm with just 8 employees. So they are small, but they are mighty, and there are only 2 such firms like them in the Northeast region. So they play a really critical role in the community. The firm had already implemented things like open book management. They had a group of workers who had been with them for a year, so high loyalty, high retention, but the owner knew that he was going to need to step away from the business shortly. He was reaching his mid-60s, and so he did what many owners do at that point. He lost a lot of sleep. He really thought the business was going to go down. There wasn't an opportunity to hand the business off to his kids. And that changed one morning when he attended a Chamber of Commerce breakfast. It was at that breakfast that he attended a session on succession planning. Now, all across the country, Chambers of Commerce are hosting these breakfasts, engaging business owners every single day. It's not every single day that employee ownership is being brought up as a topic, and it's not every single day that owners are saying, hey, I'm here and I want to learn about succession planning. But that opportunity provided Eastern Garage Door a chance to say, hey, I'm interested, to connect to the available technical assistance that was local, as well as with the CDFI to help them transition to employee ownership, and they've just completed that transition. The wraparound support for this business that was made possible constitutes effective ecosystem building. And in this ecosystem building, we each, again, have a role to play, whether you're a business, whether you're a lender, whether you're a nonprofit that's providing technical assistance, or government. And together, we can create more Eastern Garage Doors. These roles require, or filling these roles effectively requires everyone in this room to say, you know, how am I coming here? What are my own interests? What are my resources? What's my tolerance for risks? And what are the unique gifts that I bring to the table? Together, they can help strengthen businesses, workers, and communities that are both large and small. Now, generally, when we talk about ecosystem building, I fear that we too often think about or measure them by the concentration of employee-owned firms. By that measure, there are many. There's, Colorado, New York, California, Minnesota, but doing so, just looking at the number of employee-owned businesses is kind of like looking at a tree and just counting the blossoms and not taking into consideration the tree's maturity or its soil health. All of these things contribute to the blossoms that we see each day. And so ecosystem, in its truest sense, is really about the sum of distinct parts operating together. At Dowie, we've worked with municipal and TA providers across the country and internationally. We've had partnerships with Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, and Nairobi. And in those places, we've educated leaders about employee ownership. We've helped county and municipal leaders consider how they can use employee ownership as a tool to address specific challenges, both at the firm level and the local economic level. And we've helped develop strategies for implementation. Over nearly a decade of this work, we've learned quite a bit. So we know that there is great and growing interest in employee ownership to strengthen local economies specifically. We know employee-owned firms, worker cooperatives in particular, often lack the structural support that helps establish and strengthen conventional small businesses. We also know where employee ownership is most impactful from a broader economic standpoint and in relation to individual worker benefits is within ecosystems of intentionally coordinated support. This includes supportive policy, appropriate and patient capital, training, and education. This is what makes all the difference when we're thinking about how do we go from creating a handful of employee-owned businesses to scaling employee ownership's use to create high-quality jobs, resilient businesses, and wealth-building opportunities. And so while no employee ownership ecosystem is the same, there are shared challenges amongst those: access to capital and growing awareness, which you're all aware of. That's not new for anyone here. But there are ways that these challenges are being addressed that are new. In particular, getting employee ownership in the hands of folks who are not focused on employee ownership every single day. This is a priority for field growth, and it's required for us to welcome other people within our tent. We see this happening with success across the country. In Chicago, the city's Community Wealth Building Initiative has supported the training of local organizations to become worker cooperative developers. Across the Northeast, the Cooperative Development Institute and the Cooperative Fund of the Northeast are training business-facing service providers to identify and support conversions-appropriate businesses and help them consider employee ownership. Apis and Heritage, their investment model, which was seeded by Patient Philanthropic Capital, demonstrated the viability of a model that is currently changing the financial security of hundreds of workers. Notably, 2 of A&H's firms are in Colorado, one of the friendliest ecosystems for employee ownership in the United States. Now, Dowie has been involved in each of these initiatives in different ways, and we're currently engaging municipal and TA leaders in the development of a national network to raise awareness, build pipeline, and accelerate CA provision for businesses who are thinking about employee ownership and can be a fit. And it's in these examples that unlikely partnerships demonstrate what a great opportunity we have, and that is to make possible together what one of us cannot do alone. In the context of ecosystems, this phenomenon is often referred to as edge effect. It sort of represents where there are two or more small ecosystems coming together, and their engagement produces a unique product that, again, is not possible while they're on their own. And so between today and tomorrow, I want to issue a couple of challenges to you all. The first is to consider your role within the ecosystem. So that means what you uniquely bring to the table and how employee ownership fits within your work. I also challenge you to consider how your role is positioned to support the spectrum of employee ownership we've heard from today. So all of the different workers. Again, if I point to the wonderful panel that we heard from earlier today, a couple of ESOPs, worker cooperative, folks in different industries, all of them able to benefit from employee ownership. And when you return home, lastly, don't do so thinking about the work that you can do just in your silo, but instead consider the outcomes for workers, companies, and communities that's possible through unlikely, powerful partnerships. Thank you.